Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at something a bit different, actually. We're going to explore Osho's active meditation techniques, really focusing in on dynamic meditation, using the sources you've shared.
Yeah, and Osho's active meditation, it feels really relevant, doesn't it, for today's world?
It does.
So many of us have these, constantly buzzing minds, lots of stress.
Right.
And this isn't your typical sit quietly meditation. It's a very active approach, using energy to work through things.
Exactly. The core idea seems to be that, well, for a lot of people living busy lives, you can't just switch off.
Right, the mind's too full.
So the thinking here is you need to sort of discharge that built-up energy first, through movement, through activity.
That's the premise. You get the system moving before you try to find stillness.
It almost makes you think about other traditions, maybe like some Sufi practices, where the body is used really actively on the spiritual path. Do you see parallels there?
Oh, absolutely. There are definite echoes. Using the body, sound, focused energy, it's there in certain Sufi paths. And that's really central to a lot of Osho's techniques, especially this one we're focusing on today, dynamic meditation.
Okay. Dynamic meditation. So it's structured, right? An hour long, 5 different stages.
Yep, very structured, a deliberate sequence, 1 hour, 5 stages.
So what's the main goal? What are people trying to achieve with this practice?
Well, fundamentally, it's about shaking things up, breaking old habits, old emotional patterns that maybe aren't helping anymore.
Like an inner cleanse?
Yeah, you could call it that. An inner cleansing, leading to more freedom inside. Osho talked about reaching a state of witnessing, which then ideally leads to silence, to peace.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we'll look at Osho's own words and also insights from people who've studied it closely, like Prem Om.
That's right, drawing on those sources to unpack it for you.
Great, so let's dive in. Stage 1, chaotic breathing, 10 minutes. The name itself tells you something, doesn't it?
It does. Not calm breathing at all.
So how does it work, this chaotic breathing?
It's breathing completely irregularly, fast, deep, intense, and this is Kino rhythm. You're making it chaotic.
Yeah.
And the focus is strongly on the exhale, which actually energizes you. It doesn't calm you down.
Interesting. And while this is happening, the body just moves naturally, swaying, shaking, whatever comes up.
Exactly. No directing it,
Yeah.
just letting it happen. The main goal here is build energy inside. Don't let it out yet.
Okay, building the charge. What's the deeper point of starting this way?
It's really crucial. Commentators like Prem Om point this out too. The sheer irregularity, the chaos in the breath, it disrupts the mind's usual control freak tendencies.
Okay. Like bypassing the usual mental management.
Yeah, shaking up a rigid system. And when you consciously let go of that control through the breath,
What happens?
well, it can kind of pry open the door for suppressed emotions, for unconscious stuff to start coming up.
Right.
They often say if the breathing isn't chaotic enough, you might not get the deeper effects.
So you really have to commit to the chaos.
You do, intentionally creating this inner turbulence, but with awareness.
Makes sense. And like we said, you can see echoes of maybe energy awakening practices in some Sufi traditions there. Okay, so 10 minutes of that intense breathing, energy's built up. What's next?
Right, that built-up energy needs somewhere to go. Stage 2, catharsis, another 10 minutes.
Catharsis, so like letting it all out, emotional release.
Exactly, total freedom. Whatever comes up inside sounds, movements, you just let it explode outwards.
Like what? Shouting? Crying?
Shouting, crying, jumping, stomping, laughing, shaking, hitting a cushion maybe. The instruction is, hold nothing back.
Wow. Sounds intense. Is it just about, blowing off steam? Stress relief?
That's a really important question. Yes, stress gets released, definitely. But the core aim, according to Osho and people like Prem Om, is actually something more.
Okay.
The real goal is to maintain that state of witnessing while all this expression is happening.
The witnessing again. So even while you're screaming or crying, part of you is just watching. Spot on. Observing it without judging. Like, okay, anger's happening now, tears are flowing. A detached awareness.
Observing the storm without being the storm itself.
Exactly. Like watching it on a screen. You see the emotion, the thought, but you, the observer, you're separate.
That sounds really difficult. I mean, it must be so easy to just get lost in the feeling.
It takes practice, for sure. But developing that ability is a central point to the whole meditation.
Okay.
And the idea, as Prem Om explains it, is that if you can fully witness a feeling, really experience it with that detached awareness, its power over you dissolves. It gets released permanently.
So catharsis without witnessing is different.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Just venting without that awareness might just reinforce the pattern, or sometimes even risk re-traumatization if it's not observed carefully.
Right.
The witnessing creates a safe space for the energy to release and be understood differently.
This witnessing idea, it really does connect back to those Sufi ideas of observing the self, the nafs, right? Cultivating that inner awareness. Precisely. That focus on inner observation, becoming aware of your own processes. The link is quite clear. And it's worth saying, if screaming and shouting isn't your thing, or not possible, this stage can also be done through just strong body movement, shaking, dancing it out.
Right. Okay. Good to know. So after catharsis, we hit stage 3, the Hu mantra, 10 minutes again.
That's it. Stage 3, Hu mantra. The action changes here. You raise your arms up and then you jump.
It's jumping.
Yeah, jumping. And each time you land, you make a deep Hu sound, forcefully, right from the belly. H-U, H-U.
Hu! Is that sound significant? I feel like I've heard it mentioned in other contexts.
It is. Hu is a powerful sound in many mystical traditions, particularly Sufism, sometimes seen as a name for the divine or just a primal sound.
Okay.
In this meditation, Osho's intention is that the sound, plus the vibration from landing, penetrates the lower energy centers, what we call the sex center.
Which corresponds to maybe the root or sacral chakras in other systems?
Exactly. Areas linked to basic life energy, creativity. So the Hu is meant to hammer on that center.
So it's doing two things, waking up the energy there, but also kind of grounding it deeper.
Precisely. Awakening and stabilizing that energy. Plus, let's be honest, this stage is tiring.
I bet.
And that physical exhaustion helps break down resistance, mental and physical.
Right.
So again, you see this principle, using sound, movement, vibration to channel energy purposefully.
Yeah.
A bit like Sufi zikr or the energy flow in the whirling, the sema.
Yeah, that connection between vibration, focus, sound.
Yeah.
You can definitely see the parallels. And I assume, like the catharsis, if shouting Hu isn't practical.
You can do the movement and just repeat the Hu silently, internally. The intention and the physical action are still there.
Okay, so we've done chaotic breathing, catharsis, the Hu mantra. 3 pretty intense active stages. What's stage 4?
Stage 4 is called dur. It means stop, and this one lasts 15 minutes.
Stop, and it's immediate, right? After the last Hu, you just freeze.
Instantly. Whatever position you land in, you freeze. Utterly still.
It's resting, no getting comfy.
None. No shifting, no scratching, not even a cough if you can help it. Total absolute stillness, like a statue.
15 minutes. That's a long time to be perfectly still after all that activity. Why? What's the purpose of the freezing?
The stillness prevents all that energy you've built up from just dissipating. It contains it. And internally, this is the peak moment for witnessing. The awareness you've been cultivating, now it's front and center.
Because there's no outward action anymore.
Exactly. Focus is totally inward, just observing. Thoughts floating by, feelings rising and falling, body sensations. You just watch.
It's being in the eye of the hurricane. Everything might still be swirling from the earlier stages.
That's a great analogy.
But you, at the very center, are still just observing.
Perfect. Premum uses a similar idea, like the axle of a wheel in a crash. Everything's chaotic around it, but the axle point is still. You become that still, observing consciousness, while the body and mind might still be vibrating with energy. It's very much like the still point in Sufi whirling, too.
That motionless center around which everything else turns in the sema. Profound.
Exactly. And Osho would say, this is where you can really feel it. I'm not my mind. I'm not my emotions. I'm not this body. You touch that pure awareness underneath.
15 minutes of that. Wow, that could be incredibly powerful. Okay, so after that intense stillness, there's one more stage, the 5th.
Yes, the final stage.
No.
Stage 5 is Kutlama celebration. Also 15 minutes.
Celebration. After 15 minutes of being frozen, how does that work?
Well, the stillness ends. Often some uplifting music starts playing and you just dance.
It's just dance any way you want.
Any way at all. Totally spontaneous. No rules, no steps. Just letting the body move in celebration.
Celebrating what? Exactly. The end of the meditation.
Celebrating the whole journey you just took. Celebrating the release, the energy, the feeling of being alive, maybe like a rebirth.
Oh, I see.
The idea is to take that freshness, that vitality you've hopefully accessed and integrate it. Carry out with you. It's like expressing the relief and joy after all the intensity.
Makes sense. A way to embody the positive energy. And I guess like the others, you could do this as a silent dance too, just moving to your inner rhythm.
Absolutely. If music doesn't feel right, just a silent, expressive dance works too.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the whole hour. Starts with chaotic breathing.
Building energy.
Then catharsis.
Releasing. while witnessing.
Then the Hugh mantra.
Focusing and grounding energy.
Endure the stop.
Deep stillness and witnessing.
And finally, Kutlama.
Celebration and integration.
It's quite a journey, from deliberate chaos through intense release, focusing energy, deep stillness, and ending in joy.
Yes, that's the flow. A real transition from high activity to a very deep but observing stillness. That's the core mechanism.
And the thread running through it, especially in that stillness phase, is transforming things through witnessing, not just getting rid of stuff, but changing your relationship to it.
Exactly. It's about transformation through awareness.
It's definitely a fascinating, multi-layered approach. You can see why it might appeal to people dealing with the pressures of, modern life. It's not passive.
Not at all. Very dynamic, as the name suggests.
Well, exploring this has been really insightful. So maybe a final thought for you listening at home. Just consider this. In your own day, what if you tried, even for a few seconds here and there, to just observe? Observe a passing thought, a feeling, an automatic reaction, like a detached witness.
Just noticing it without getting caught up.
Yeah. How might that change your relationship with those inner moments? Is there maybe some locked up energy there, waiting for that quiet, non-judging observation, waiting for that witnessing to set it free?
Something to ponder, perhaps.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.